I think we can start this session, which is about Destination 1, staying healthy in a rapidly changing society. I warmly welcome you all to this session. My name is Anna Lönnroth, and I'm advisor to the director of the People Director here in DG Research and Innovation. And with me here in the session, I have Christina Kyriakopoulou and Sarah Brasis for topics, and also Rosanna Damario for any questions you might have on international cooperation. So please take the opportunity, if you haven't done so already, to upload questions in Slido and also vote for questions. So we'll pay attention to that as soon as we have taken you through a very short introduction. So what is this all about, staying healthy in a rapidly changing society? Well, as we all know, the overall aging population is expected to put a lot of increasing pressure on our healthcare systems. So helping people to stay healthy for a longer time through prevention of diseases and also promotion of health and healthy lifestyles in particular will be an essential element in order to respond to the situation. So at the same time, since long, there's been a serious, I would say, long underinvestment in the area of disease prevention and health promotion. So this is the driver behind the activities of this destination, really to help us all to stay healthier as long as possible. And many of the actions in this destination is about helping people to make active lifestyle choices. At the same time, we have new technological tools, and there are also societal changes happening around us that impact on all of this. It's very important to leave no one behind, so we are addressing the actions here to all stages of life and all population groups, including vulnerable populations. So at the level of this destination, we're looking for impacts over the years. So these are very ambitious. We want citizens to adopt healthier lifestyles and behaviors and make healthier choices. We also want them to be able and empowered to manage their own physical and mental health, being really in self-management of their health, and interact well with the doctors and healthcare providers. We want citizens to trust in knowledge and based health intervention and guidance from health authorities. We felt, particularly in this pandemic, that sometimes trust has not always been there, and it's absolutely crucial that we have this trust. And it also goes for things like vaccine reliance, as we also seen recently has been an issue. But not only citizens, but also health policies and actions and all these health promotion advices and the actions on disease prevention, they need, of course, to be knowledge-based. They need to be scientifically well-grounded, and they need to be people-centered so that they really be picked up and used by citizens and the authorities around us, and also addressing here in this context health inequalities. So what we have here, and you see it on this slide, which has been projected, for this year, 4 topics in this area. And the first one is about boosting mental health in Europe in times of change. You see here that it's a 2-stage topic, which has a deadline of its first stage in February. You see the total budget, and you also see the expected average amount per project that we would estimate to receive there. I have put in red a little sort of indication what I would suggest that you use if you have questions on mental health. So please just say mental health topic, and then you post your question. So where does it come from? Well, we know that the impact on mental health by transforming society and environment is really accelerating in Europe. And particularly things like climate change, digitalization, and not the least the ongoing COVID pandemic has really posed a massive impact on our mental health. So there's an unmet need for evidence-based strategies and interventions to promote mental health and manage mental illness. And this is what this topic is about. And you have all the details in the topic description, of course. So that's the first one. And then secondly, we are making use of artificial intelligence tools to predict the risk of chronic non-communicable diseases and or their progression. This is also a two-stage topic. A total budget of 60 million, or an estimated per project budget of about 6 million. So this comes out of the fact that it's widely recognized that health systems must put more emphasis on prevention and adopt a person-centered approach. So using this artificial intelligence along with increased availability of health data really has the potential to pave the way for personalized prevention and enable progress towards risk prediction and early detection of chronic non-communicable diseases. So that is the thinking and the drive behind that topic. And moving then on to the third topic here is about obesity, which we all know is a rapidly growing problem in our society, despite the fact that people in general actually become healthier. The problem of obesity as such is increasing, and particularly among the very young ones. So in order to tackle this in a comprehensive way, going all the way from basic understanding to really practical interventions that people can use, we offer this opportunity here. And this is also a two-stage topic with a total budget devoted here of 60 million and an estimated per project size of about 10 million in terms of budget. And finally here, the fourth topic is about personalized blueprint of chronic inflammation in health to disease transition. It's a single stage topic with a total budget of 50 million and an estimated approximate amount per proposal of about 7 million. So this one is about focusing on the inflammatory response, which is really a physiological process that helps the body to heal against harmful entities. That's the normal function. But when that goes wrong, when it's dysregulated, it can lead to unresolved chronic local or even systemic inflammation. So that in combination with the person's genotype, phenotype, medical history, nutritional and well-being status, and other triggers, it can actually lead to driving the person from a state of health to a state of disease. It's like sort of flipping point between the health and disease state. So the whole topic is really trying to get down to the issues there. What is it actually that triggers this state? And we have there a number of suggestions as described in the topic description. So if you use those little red keywords here, that would be really helpful when you put your slide of questions. So I think with that, I'm happy to open the floor for questions. Do we have any Slido questions coming up? No, I don't see.
It's coming.
Thank you. There we go. Okay. So the first one is, can we use a laboratory test to develop the AI tool even if they are not listed in the call characteristics? Christina, please. I hope you're online. Christina, are you on? I saw your profile before. There she is. Hello, can you unmute yourself, Christina, please?
Yes, good morning. I had I'm with two screens, so good morning. Do you see me? Yes, this is a very important question for the artificial intelligence topic. And actually, when we read the call text, there are some requirements under the scope. And among this, requirements is in order to be able to develop robust and accurate artificial intelligence tools for disease risk prediction or disease progression of disease, the applicants are asked to integrate and to take stock of existing knowledge, integrate the relevant available data or newly developed data, so the necessary for the development of the tools and the objectives of their proposal in order to be able to address at the highest possible level the topic requirements. So basically the question is yes, because it depends very much on the developmental level and the maturity of the algorithms, which will maybe have necessary requirements for new data to calibrate and to develop the performance.
Christina, stay with us a moment, because I can see that the second question is also for you, which is really, let's see, this moves around now. Can you give recommendations how to involve end users in the AI development process?
I think the topic, it is very important when you see the different documents. There are very interesting references in the topic, and particularly there is a footnote which refers to the recommendation of the high-level expert ethics group on the development of trustworthy AI. And if one would read this recommendation, there is a reference about transparency and openness. And in the topic, in particularly in the requirements under the scope, it is clearly mentioned that the end users
We don't hear you now, Christina. Something happened. You don't seem to be muted, but we don't hear you. Christina, we don't hear you. Oh. Christina? Hello. Do you hear us? Can you nod if you hear me? Okay, we could not hear you suddenly. Can you try to speak again?
Anna, I think we need to take another question. Probably Christina got
we'll take
kicked out
another
of the
question.
system.
We will have a look at that. So yes, Christina, we take another question. I see that the one on inflammatory diseases is also for you. So we will park that one for the moment and come back. Can we have some other question? We'll come back to you, Christina. Thank you. So the one on inflammatory diseases is actually also for Christina. So we'll park that one for the moment. We'll leave it there. Do we have any questions on mental health or on obesity? Christina, we still can't hear you.
I'm afraid there is a technical issue with Christina. I don't know.
There's a technical issue with Christina. Okay. We don't hear you talking. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay, so Sarah. Oh, Sarah, we have a question here. I didn't see that question. There is a question on mental health in the elderly. I don't see it. I can't read that question to you. What you can do, Sarah, if you take the floor, Sarah, please, and you read the question yourself, because I don't see it on my screen.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I can read it. For the mental health call, is it necessary to cover climate change, digitalization, and COVID, or is it better to focus on one of these challenges for mental health? So the topic does not specify these are suggestions, so it can be one or several of these matters, and then the experts, we will assess the proposals, then we'll make the judgments, but it's not necessary to focus on one. It can be one or several. I hope I replied this.
Yeah, to me it was clear. Do we have any other questions that are on mental health or obesity in the list? We need
I thought I saw one concerning the elderly on mental health. But now I cannot see it again.
It's coming. There's a third one. Does the call encourage, expect to use digital technologies, machine learning, AI, etc.?
Now the question is gone.
The question is gone. Yes. I think, but most of these questions are really for Christina. That's a little bit sad that she is not there. Was there anything? Yeah, no,
Okay.
there's one on mental health. Yes.
How broad should the target groups be?
No, now that disappeared. Okay. It moves a little bit too fast, I think, here. How broad should the target groups be? For example, the elderly. Would that be too narrow, Sarah, please?
Again, the topical only specifies vulnerable populations, and as long as the proposals casted address all the expected outcomes, contribute to all the expected outcomes and all the requirements in their scope, there is no indication that focusing on a particular vulnerable population would be better or worse. So.
That's very clear. I think I take this opportunity to make a more of a general remark for all topics, is that you should really read what is a requirement. For example, I can say sometimes that these are expected outcomes. You have to cover them all, or you have to cover several of them, or some of them. And the same for the scope. So you need to pay attention very carefully to how it's phrased. And then in some cases, there are examples given to illustrate what we have in mind, to clarify. But if it says that it is examples, e.g., then they are simply examples. They are not exhaustive lists or requirements that you address precisely those. But that's for us to show you what we mean by that. So you have to make the distinction between what is required and what is there to illustrate the point. So let me see. We have in the mental health color, is it possible to apply to older people?
I'm not sure I can understand, but I think this was already answered in the previous question concerning the elderly.
So now we have a lot of questions for Christina, because both the inflammatory and the AI question is for her. So I wonder what's going on. Has she gotten technical help?
What do you need, Anna?
We need Christina to be able to talk. Here, prevention of obesity. In the meantime, if you can help Christina with her the audio.
We are on the we are working on it.
And in the meantime, I take the last question here. In prevention of obesity, can the target population involve overweight persons? That is, to prevent development of obesity in those with overweight. Yes, of course. I mean, we have your target population can even be people who are not at all overweight, but in order to prevent them from becoming overweight. So it's, if you read very carefully, it is the target population is really broad. Although I would find it probably very difficult to avoid involving people with any sort of overweight or obesity problems at all in the studies. But if it's about preventing obesity from occurring, that can, of course, be the target population as such. So then we have another one, inflammation.
Christina should be back by now.
Okay.
Again, my apologies. We had an IT problem. Yes, this is topic on chronic inflammation, and the transition to health to disease is open for all relevant disease and disorders. So it is left to the applicants to decide what is the best methodological approach and the best objectives to address the relevant requirements of the call topic. Thank you.
I'm so happy you're back, Christina, because we have a lot of.
So sorry.
So if you just hang on there, I think mental health. Did we answer that one already? Does the call encourage, expect to use digital technologies, machine learning, AI, etc.? are clinical partners expected? Sarah, that's one for you.
The call does not specify the use of digital technologies as machine learning or AI, but it certainly is open for it. And our clinical partners expected. The clinical partners in terms, they are expected, they should be also included, but again, there is a comprehensive list of partners, or let's say stakeholders, that should be included or are encouraged to be included in the proposal from the beginning, and also included in all stages of research, from citizens to other end users, regional or national authorities, clinicians, and the list goes on and on.
Then we also have a boosting mental health, our evidence synthesis on, for example, on interventions also desired.
Under scope, the first point is actually on providing a comprehensive knowledge base of how transforming Europe can influence mental health in a fast evolving society. So in this sense, you could include evidence synthesis on interventions, yes.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I think the next one is for Christina. Can you give recommendations how to involve end users in the AI development process?
Okay, this is a very nice question. Actually, if you one would look at the topic, there is a specific requirement that under the scope that the developers of these advanced tools should involve the end users, the relevant end users, of course, depending on the research question that the proposal is focused on. And for that, they have to involve them from the beginning of the process. But because different communities, different themes, different subjects, they have different needs, it's left to the applicants to decide what is the best strategic methodology to have a fruitful and inclusion of the end user. So it's up to the applicants to decide.
Okay, and then we have the third one, which is on the screen here. AI call, is cancer included?
So in this specific call, artificial intelligence tools for disease risk prediction for chronic non-communicable disease, it is open to all relevant disease and disorder, so there is no specific exclusion of any disease. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, I think we have answered that one. So we had answered already a question on the elderly on the mental health topic. Let me see. Chronic. So here another one on chronic inflammation. Can a proposal to this call look at patients in remission from a chronic inflammatory disease preventing transition to disease, Christina?
Okay. The topic, it is to identify the factors and use them for optimized benefits to the patients for the transition of the inflammatory pre-disease state to the disease state. Now, I think this is a possibility, and the topic is all flexible for this kind of proposals also.
Okay, thank you. Then we have one on obesity. I saw. I don't see the topic anymore, but I saw it, and it was basically asking the question, since the obesity topic is very broad, it has a number of ambitions listed. Do you need to address them all? Well, in terms of the expected outcomes, there are some points listed there. So a proposal needs to address some of those expected outcomes. It's written like that, literally. And when it comes to the scope, there are actually 12 different points suggested there, but there you need to address several of them, so you can make a sub-selection. But of course, you should make sure that you stay broadly online with the overall, let's say, objectives of the topic in terms of what it wants to achieve, and that you contribute significantly to the overall objectives and the aims. But it goes without saying, if there's a listed listed 12 points of scope, and it says that you need to address several of them. You don't need to address all of them. So you have to read for every topic, and that goes across the board, exactly the requirements on whether it's some, several, all, etc. And what is a must and what is just, as I said before, examples. And then here we have, I think I've answered that one now at the top there. For the AI call, is gastric cancer to be considered a chronic non-communicable disease, Christina?
Thank you for this question. Actually, we have been receiving also written questions from different national contact points about different type of diseases or health conditions if they are relevant for this topic. But this is a topic that does not exclude any conditions. So I leave it to the applicants to assess if with their proposal they can achieve the relevant scope and reach the expected outcomes.
Thank you so much. I think on the mental health here, we already answered that one as far as I remember. So I think we can take that one away. Then it's another one about, it's hard to read when it moves. The topic does not, so the inflammation topic does not exclude any diseases, disorder. What does it mean? Isn't about systemic inflammation and prevention of diseases. Well, I think we are, I can even take that one myself. What it means by that is that there's no particular category of disease that is targeted here. And so this is what it means of, but that it doesn't exclude them. But maybe Christina, if you want to give some more.
Yes, about the second question, isn't about systemic inflammation and prevention of disease. Yes, it is one of the ultimate expected outcomes and potential impact to that kind, to the prevention of diseases. However, there is a reference also in the topic that the project should focus on human relevant studies that can reflect in the best possible way this transition from health to disease. So and identify early stages of disease. So it's not a simple kind of basic research on systemic inflammation. They have to have some proof of concept studies on that perspective.
Yes, and I think to underline again, the idea of the topic is really to understand the trigger point when you move from this health state to a disease state. So that's the core there. Then we have one on obesity. Can AI tools be used in the project? Well, we never tell you exactly what tools you need to mobilize in order to achieve the expected outcomes at the level of the topic. So this is really up to you. If you say, if you can make use of AI tools, if you can make use of any modern technology to reach those objectives and be convincing to the expert evaluators that this is going to be a very solid proposal, then go ahead. Absolutely. It's an excellent question. Having said that, though, we do have some topics that call for the use of AI tools specifically, and there is flexibility then on how to use those. But if nothing is said about that, of course, it doesn't exclude the use of AI tools if you see a good use of that. I think we have answered the prevention of obesity of the target population. That is to prevent the development of obesity in those with overweight, yes, and also people without overweight. And then mental health. How should policymakers be informed about the prevalence and burden of illnesses? I think policymakers, you can have them on board. There are ways to involve, let's say, non-scientific players in the projects directly. You can have, for example, patient organizations. They are not scientists. You can have also representatives of policymakers. You can have also representatives of any other, let's say, relevant player which is not a classic from the scientific community, classically, in order to reach the objectives. But maybe Sarah, if you want to have a go on that one.
Thank you, Anna. I think you already answered, but just to stress out that we are not including ways of the methodology in how to reach policymakers. It's exactly, you should come out with ideas and how to better include them in your research and how to better disseminate the results of the project to policymakers and beyond. So indeed, there are ways of including target audiences, so it's really up to the applicants to, in the proposals, to describe how you would do this and what would be the best approach.
Thank you, Sarah. And then we have a very good one actually on this is about the mental health topic in cohorts. So would a submission be eligible that includes to continue an ongoing cohort study, which comes from another EU Horizon project? Well, a cohort can be used for more than one purpose, obviously, that is very clear. And so the one thing here, more on the legal side, is that we cannot, of course, double fund them for the same thing. That is not possible. But to make use of already existing resources, whatever they are, in this case, we're talking about cohorts, and if that can be done, then I would say, why not? Again, as long as you fulfill the objectives of the topic, the expectations, the expected outcomes, that will be fine. And then we have a question on AI tools again here. Can we develop AI tools as diagnostics, like imaging, supporting risk prediction by clinicians? Christina, that's for you.
So this type of question would fit to the call as long as the project aims as its main goal to develop risk prediction tools for disease, for a disease or disease progression. So it's left again to the applicants to decide what is the best methodology, what are the different approaches that they use. But risk prediction is part of the call, the philosophy of the call, yes.
And then is for you also, is the immune system to be covered in addition to inflammation? Christina?
Yes. So this chronic inflammatory process is systemic or local. So and the point where inflammation, which is a physiological process, become dysregulated and creates a potential the basis for pathology development, it involves also the immune system. So I wouldn't, it's very much linked to inflammation. So this is again relevant to the objectives of the proposal, as long as the requirements of the call and the expected outcomes are met to the highest possible extent. Yes.
Thank you for that. And then we have another one, Christina, which is asking whether we can use laboratory tests to develop the AI tool, even if they are not listed in the call characteristics.
Okay, so in the scope, under several, particularly the first bullet point, there is a specific reference that the proposals, the applicants should leverage the existing health relevant data, and we give some in parentheses, we give some indications, but we by no way we could include the reference to all type of data, but there are specific reference to genotypic, medical data, lifestyle data, socioeconomic, behavioral, as relevant again to what the applicants would like to achieve in the proposal. So depends a lot on the theme, the subject of the proposal.
Then we have a question about the inflammation topic. Are also startups allowed to participate? I think I can take that and say that startups are welcome in all topics. We don't exclude startups from any of them. So yes, of course, you see a clear role for the startup. It's great. And then, is cancer considered a chronic non-communicable disease in the Horizon EU program? Well, that is a very, very general question, I would say. And I think most of us would agree that cancer is considered a chronic non-communicable non-communicable disease. Having said that, though, you have to look from topic to topic whether there are any particular restrictions mentioned for the given topics. That can be the case. Then again, inflammation. Will the chronic inflammation state be understood as the disease state, Christina?
The chronic inflammation, it may lead, that's what the goal of the call, it may lead to potential pathologies. And this is exactly what we would like to study as a focus, this transition from the pre-disease state to the potential early stages of the disease. So depends again on the relevant disease disorder. But as such, chronic inflammation, I wouldn't say that it's understood as a disease state, because there is one can give there is a list of international nomenclature medical professionals, the ICD-10-11, for example, or one can see all the listed medical conditions and diseases. So I wouldn't say as such chronic inflammation understood as disease state, as long as it is studied and provide evidence base in this topic that some factors can affect the transition to a disease state. Yes.
Thank you so much. I think I'm mindful of time. We have a few minutes left only. So I would suggest that we take quickly 2 more questions, and with apologies to those who have with questions that we have had no time to answer, but we'll of course look at all the questions. And if there are particularly say questions that we believe are really of general interest, we will put them in the frequently asked questions on the website. So here up at the top here, this is again regarding the AI tool topic. Is pneumonia considered a non-communicable disease in this call? Christina, we have actually 2 questions. The 2 last questions are for you. Is about the AI topic, both of them. So is pneumonia a non-communicable disease?
Okay, so the topic focuses on the development of tools on chronic non-communicable disease. And I will revert my answer to a question: is pneumonia a chronic non-communicable disease in that case? So one has to reflect, because this is the theme of the topic, chronic non-communicable disease.
And then the very closely linked to this, Christina, is the last question we will answer here. And are all chronic non-communicable diseases, do they have the same relevance or not?
Yes, I would say yes. It's quite open, the topic, to allow to the applicants to come with very innovative ideas and a credible methodological plan, and the highest level of quality of the proposal that will persuade the independent evaluators that the relevant proposal meets the level of quality of the topic requirements. Yes.
Thank you so much. I think we can just say that I saw a question about the startups being eligible. Of course, we answered before about private entities, and this is, of course, yes to that. So I think we have to close here. We have 2 minutes left of our session. I'd just like to thank you all for your participation, for feeding us with interesting questions, and anything, as I said before, that we haven't had time to address, but we think is really our wide interest to many, will be put on the frequently asked questions. And also, as was said by Henriette in her introduction, don't forget that you have your national contact point for the health cluster in your country. All of this will be available as recordings, and there is also a pre-recorded video about this destination. But the main message here really is that you read the text very carefully of the topic, the information that's in participant portal about the call requirements. This is what's legally binding. So what we have done here today is to try to guide you and help you and give you advice, but what is legally binding is only that text. That's very important. So when you prepare your proposal, think about the evaluators, think about the people who are going to read your proposals, and that you need to be convincing, and that you need to be convincing to them that you are actually going to be able to fulfill the expected outcomes that we have described in the topic. And you make your a credible case that you are able to deliver on that. So with that, and I'm now just at the finishing minute, we would, on behalf of myself and the colleagues who helped here, thank you very much for participating, and we wish you all the best of success with your proposal. Thank you.